Welcome to Game Changer. I'm your host Mariam Zia. Game Changer is a new flagship show of PTV World in which we will explore and discuss areas of regional connectivity and prosperity and aligned issues that would be affecting the region. Viewers, you will be watching this show every Monday and Tuesday on PTV World at 11 p.m. We will take a short break back. In today's show, we will be talking about Pakistan and Russia relations. We know that Pakistan and Russia relations had many ups and downs, but now both countries are moving ahead, leaving behind their political history and looking towards new areas of connectivity. In today's show, we will be talking about the emerging relationship between Pakistan and Russia, as well as we will be looking on the emerging relationship between Pakistan, China and Russia, and how this emerging cooperation between the three countries would be impacting the region. To discuss this whole gambit of relationship, I have been joined in the studios by Dr. Hussain Javed, who is a renowned economist and international affairs expert as well as an author. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
And we have been joined by Mr. Humayun Khan, who is a senior analyst. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Mr. Humayun, I will be starting with you. When we talk about Pakistan and Russia relations, we see that there has been many ups and downs. How do you see the emerging cooperation between these two countries?
Thank you, Mariam. It's a long relationship. I think it started with the first time when Russia offered us help in building our steel mill, the only steel mill we have now in Pakistan. And since then, the relationship went into a nosedive because we were part of this Western alliance, which was earlier CETO and then CENTO, and then we were aligned more with the West. And that was also the height of Cold War. And Pakistan chose to align itself with the Western interest. And back then, it was also in the interest of Pakistan. Right. We can still debate that we could have taken a better decision, but nonetheless, we went there. And since then, all Cold War, Pakistan was seen as a country which was a Western ally. And then when we started developing our relationship with China, that's also when we started moving towards a communist bloc as well.
We will be talking about that, but let me come to Dr. Hussain. Yeah. Dr. Hussain, how do you categorize the relationship between Pakistan and Russia, the current state of relationship between the two countries?
Right. So, see, the word is about the national interest and economic benefit. And now, after the politics, now politics is not much important and the partial part of the anything. Now the pivot is economics. So when it comes to economics, we have to go into the discoursement. If we talk about the Pakistan, Russia and China, then first we need to talk about the Russia. Russia is the one where the China was replicated initially all the technology, all the industry, all the, every mechanism of the governance, right. They have replicated from China. Same as what we have done is in 1950s from Prime Minister Liaquat Ali Khan times. It comes from the invitation comes from the Joseph Stalin and the Harry S. Truman. So it was the crucial time where he goes. So he at the 11th hour he have to visit it to the America, right. And we were the ally since then. But that doesn't mean that we have a good alliance with the Russia or don't we have the good relations with the Russia, because always remember, because in the Ayub Khan's era, it is continuously from the 50, 51, 56 and then right. 62.
There has been then a lot move of on to the
97. Let me tell you about the 1994 part. It was first about the, as Humayun Sahab said, it is steel mill. Second is the thermal power station. It is a Guddu, it is the Multan, it's a Muzaffargarh, and then it is the establishment of the oil and gas, which we call it OGDC. So why not today? Why not we can get the collaboration and cooperation between the Russia and Pakistan? And yes, when we talk about the economic numbers, an economic sports number, it is very much necessary to have that. But after a year long, then 80s is little a dark time for the Pakistan. But moving on to the, if I talk about the relationship, I can only measure the relationship on economics because I'm an economist.
Right. So let's talk about economics.
Yeah.
When we talk about Russia, we know that Russia has military and technical cooperation agreements with over 85 countries.
Yeah.
What are the areas in which Pakistan and Russia can collaborate or cooperate further?
See, before that, I mean, like, just wanted to know, I mean, they are working on the agriculture, they are working on the agriculture mechanization, they are working on the ammunitions as well. Because 85% of the mega ammunition is being, I mean, exported by Russia already, and we are the biggest market for them and other two. But let's talk about, let's understand on the basis of the import and export, but our chunk is very low. I mean, have you seen that? I mean, the recent activity.
What are the reasons for that?
China
Why there is so
see,
much less
China
cooperation?
and Russia is working on the 4, I mean, nuclear power stations and the other emanations. But we are not part of it. We are ahead of it, but we have to be the part of it. If we talk about the import and export data, you can see in 2019, 147 million and imports at just 177 million. Then in 2020, so export was about $135 million, and then his import is about just 366. Whereas in 2021 is 177 and import is about 418, which is none, which is just nothing. So we have to focus on all these areas, which is first is the gas pipeline, second is the oil, and of course in the latest stage of our program, I'll discuss what are the factors which are not moving in two sides, which is the power and power. So the better part of the Russia is we have to have the development of the oil and gas, because their specialty is in the oil and gas. Second, the Belt and Road, China. Belt and Road Initiative, China is the biggest flagship program. It is just not between the Pakistan and China. It is about the Middle East. It is about the Central Asian state. It is about the Eurasia, and it is about the America.
Let me talk about Belt and Road Initiative. And Mr. Humayun, when we talk about Belt and Road Initiative, we know that China is very ambitious, and Belt and Road Initiative is part of China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. And we know that China wants to align itself on the world stage, and it is in according to Belt and Road Initiative, China wants to connect the underdeveloping countries and make them dependent on the Chinese economy. How do you see the future of this project, and how this project is bringing Pakistan, China and Russia together?
Oh yes, I think Belt and Road Initiative is a flagship project of President Xi Jinping. They announced it in 2013. And since then, now 149, 150 countries plus international organization, multilateral organization and banks are part of it. And the idea is to connect the world in a group of ways. There's like land routes, there's like fiber optics, there's like air link, there's like sea link, and then there is also the railway links. With that, the aim is that the world will have enough room to cooperate on almost everything. So, you know, earlier there is a disparity between the global north and the global south, and we have a lot of poverty in the global south. So with this particular project, I guess we have to learn from the Chinese experience. They have done tremendous things in their last 30, 40 years. They have developed their technology. They have taken 700 million people out of poverty because of these economic development projects that they have in their own country, and they are collaborating with others. In that aspect, Pakistan-China Economic Corridor is the flagship project of Belt and Road Initiative as well. And in that, we want to extend the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor from Pakistan towards Afghanistan to Central Asia, and then resultantly connect with the Russian side as well. But having said that, that's also one of the opportunities in which Belt and Road can help these three countries. There's another thing we need to understand, that Russia has always been very close ally of India. And that was always a hindrance in Pakistani mind, how we could collaborate with
I want to talk about India's angle in this. So, Dr. Hassan, India and Russia has always been close if we look at the history. But now Russia is inclined towards Pakistan. If we look at the strategic location and the global politics, what do you think are the reasons for that? Why now? Is it Afghanistan one of the factors, or BRI is one of the motivations?
See, before 1980s, there were no issue. As I told you, the Joseph Stalin called us and Harry S. Thompson called us. There was no problem. But eventually, the superpowers, so see, word is the bipolar, then it was before that is a multipolar, then is a bipolar, and then is a unipolar. So unipolar word means the global word, and global, after the globalization there is a McDonaldization, and then McDonaldization means connectivity. So connect each other. So there is no resilience. They don't want to be in warfare, and they don't want to be in the other system.
So why
but
now?
80s,
Why
80s.
Russia?
It was 80s. And yes, I'm going into the history just to discourse about the systematic approach. So they have, expand the NATO, America expand the NATO, and India was the part. And then they have developed the US Indo-Pacific strategy, because you always understand the Indo-Pakistan is rich in all the resources, minerals, mine, uranium, and everything what you even think of it. Even we have the record, we just not explore the Balochistan, and Balochistan is a very important and vital part of everything. But always understand we have 24 open borders to face the Indo-Pacific Ocean. So we are on a very verge of the world most pivot role. So next strategy was the Indo-Pacific, which is the free and open Indo-Pacific, which was not good for us. And then it comes to the re-emergence of Quads. Quads is the cooperation of the Japan, India, Pakistan, Japan, India,
Australia.
America, and Australia. So have you seen the different regions? Australia is in east. Where is India? India have the direct rival of Pakistan, and we have all the problem with the India, because they are intervening everywhere. In why the destabilization of the Afghanistan? It does matter with the India. India is the main variable of the incontingency, or whatever you say. So Quad is the one where we can have the problem, and then the multilateral after the Japan. Japan has a problem with the China, but their business trade is already well. We are not accepting this. We can have the rivalry. But always we can have the trade with other countries, but we don't have. And second is the Australia. So Quad is very much important in all the way.
Let me take that question to Mr. Humayun. Mr. Humayun, do you think Quad is threatened, or does Quad has any concern about this emerging relationship or emerging cooperation between Pakistan, Russia, and China?
I will definitely add to what Dr. Sanan was earlier saying. We need to understand the history of this relationship. And when we talked about South Asia, there were like two bigger countries. It's India and Pakistan. And India sided with Russian, as well as they were like part of the non-aligned movement, and they were also earning good benefits from the American side. But with these new emerging alliances in Indo-Pacific, President Obama announces Asia Pacific or Asia Pivot policy, and since then India has become a counterbalance to China in the eyes of United States. So United States of America has moved closer towards India. They are having more economic relationship, military relationship. It's not only Quad, which is one of the most threatening military alliance as an emerging military alliance. There's AUKUS as well. There's Indo-Pacific.
Moreover, I would call it conspiracy.
More or less. And with that, I thought maybe there was a realization on the Russian side that Pakistan is also a very important country in South Asia, with a huge economy, with a huge population. And Afghanistan was also the deciding factor as well, because if Afghanistan deteriorate into the chaos, which it is already, the spillover of terrorism into Central Asian states, which are very weak, and from there to the Russian side, that was also one of the
Mr. Humayun might as well I add that in Pakistan we think of Russia and China as de facto allies. But do you think that Moscow's faith in China is not unconditional, it is contained? And what do you think would be the future of this relationship? Because China, we know, is emerging on the world stage as an economic power. Do you think in the future Russia might be threatened by this emerging role of China in the world economy?
Well, there's a long history of collaboration between these two countries, and then in 1967 there's a history of confrontation between these two countries as well. Having said that, now China is already an established global power, and it is emerging as a bigger military power, and that's why United States of America see China as a threat.
And of course, it's the second best economy.
The second best economy, and most likely in different estimates, it could surpass the United States in within 10, 15 or 30 years, depending upon who you talk to. Within that realm, China could become a threatening country for anybody who sees it as a threat. But China's policy is to have more collaboration, and that's why we talk about Belt and Road, which is not about using force, which is about economic leverages, economic cooperation, interconnectedness with the region. So maybe in the future, I'm not saying in the near future, but in the distant future, there's a possibility that Russia might consider China again as a threat.
Right.
They have seen in
Right.
1967.
So, Dr. Hassan, let's talk
Yeah.
about Pakistan and Russia relations. As you were mentioning earlier,
Yeah.
that there is a lot of potential between Pakistan and Russia, but
Yeah.
we have seen that there has been a decline of 33% of exports from Pakistan to Russia in the fiscal year 23 as compared to fiscal year 22.
Yes.
What are the reasons for that?
So see, there are a lot many things. I mean, there are moreover the operational things. It is just not about the technical thing. It is moreover the operational things. First come first. I mean, I'm not talking about the major part. Is one is textile. We can collaborate in textile, we can collaborate in agriculture product, we can collaborate in surgical item, we can collaborate in chemical, footwear, plastic wares. In total it is about even if we talk about the textile, it is 1.6 and major products is about the 178 million, but it comes on the million. It is less than 100 million. So this is the major part where I'm talking about, but the important part is oil and the gas.
Right.
Just try to understand that what we are doing, we are not capable. Our
Right.
refineries
Right.
are refinery and the capacity is not that much important. See, so Russia can, send us the 30% of the Russia crude oil, but our refinery has no capacity to refine as they have. So they have what they are giving us. The refineries could not, process the certain grade, which is like, for example, if I say the Sokol, Sakhalin light, the Eastern Serbian and the Pacific Ocean, what we call ESPO, and then is Bioco. The Bioco is the
Right.
government which has been the limitation by the oil. So try to understand, we have to enhance our refineries, we have to enhance our capacity so that we can have the
Right.
overall contribution.
Right.
Plus, also understand we have to improve our logistics and supply
Right. We
chain.
will talk more
It is
about that.
See, just understand that it is about the 22 to 30 days just to supply chain or to route out the oil. So it would rather take 45 days. For that reason, we need a discounted rate plus better
Right. I
refineries.
want to come towards the discounted rates that Russia has announced, but we have to take a short break here. We are discussing the potential of relationship between Pakistan and Russia and how this cooperation between Pakistan, Russia and China would be impacting the region at large and beyond. Take a break. Welcome back. We are talking about emerging relationship between Pakistan, Russia and China. And we know that there is a lot of need at domestic level for discounted prices, keeping in mind our economic situation. Our foreign minister, Ms. Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, has also talked to Al Jazeera regarding
Yes.
this. Let's listen to the clip.
As Foreign Minister, how difficult is it for you to navigate superpower politics? Now, we have China, which is best friends with Pakistan, massive investments. You're tied into that Belt and Road initiative. You have a complicated relationship with the US. Perhaps it's improving a little bit, but it's been difficult in the past. And then there's Russia, and that's seen by many in the West currently as a pariah nation, and yet you're still talking about that gas pipeline. How difficult is it to balance all this?
I think that, first of all, these bigger countries need to get used to the fact that smaller, or what they deem as smaller, developing countries can't be held hostage to the great games that are going on. And I think we must all ask ourselves what history will write of this period. That we were at a point in human history where we are facing various existential threats like we've never seen before. We went through a once in 100-year pandemic, an existential threat to us. We are going through the climate crisis that, at least for us in Pakistan, has reached the point where it's an existential threat. And I think we can all agree there's no way we will be able to combat at least the issue of climate change without all the countries you just mentioned working together.
We were watching statement by Foreign Minister of Pakistan, Mr. Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, about the domestic crisis that we are facing. Dr. Hassan, what is the potential, what are the problems, and how Pakistan is going to tackle this
Bilawal
issue?
Bhutto Zardari rightly pointing out the factual issue of Pakistan. First, he have, putting up the issue that we have just the capacity of processing 30% of the Russian crude oil, and then I have told you the four phases. So if we go for the 4.3 million ton of the oil from the Russia on the discounted rate, but if we get the discounted rate, there is a supply chain, there is a root cause problem, there is a transportation problem, and then cost will go up if we get into the discounted price too. And then he rightly said about the coal power projects. We have 27 trillion ton of the coal in Thar and less than 1% of the sulfur. It is just about the 2%, and the capacity for the power we can generate the energy for about 300 years at large. We have to take this decision just before 10 years back, and it was the discussion, and the last government, I would blame the last government, they were not talking about the Thar coal, and they were not talking about the coal power issue and the magnitude of the coal power issue. Now try to understand, we are with the green initiative, we are with the COP27, we are everything, but less than 1 sulfur coal, and if we create and generate the power from the coal, there is no ambiguity in the problem, and the green power and the green initiative allow us to create and generate the power from the coal. So Bilawal Bhutto Zardari have rightly said, but on the basis of the oil and the gas, but we have to understand, the first we have to establish the fact that our schools, second line and other oil and the crude oil, we have to create our capacity, we have to work by own on ourselves.
Right, we are talking about the capacity, and of course we have a shortage of gas at home. So what do you think are the issues that we are facing if we talk about Pakistan's stream gas pipeline, and how can we speed up that process?
You know, this is very interesting that Foreign Minister was saying that Pakistan has been victim of global bigger power politics. Yeah. And we've always been like attracted to one particular power for our interest, but the other power gets offended by that. And that's exactly what has happened in the past when the Cold War was on its side. Then there was like a unipower world, and then again now we're going towards multipolarity. And then there are different nations. Now coming to Russia, it's very important. They have huge capacity of oil and gas. They have huge capacity of food, which is like grain. And now, within 1 year of the Russian invasion of Ukraine war, there are a lot of sanctions on Russia. And we just gotten ourselves out of FATF grey list, and we have to be very careful how to navigate through this. And that's exactly what Foreign Minister was saying. The world needs to understand that these smaller countries, and particularly Pakistan, which has faced the worst ever humanitarian crisis of floods in last couple of months, and we just had our donors conference today, and hopefully we will have more conferences in future as well. And then we also have suffered a lot from COVID-19. In that we need oil and gas. We need oil and gas on discounted prices. But the issue Dr. Hasnan was mentioning, that's very important. I want
your opinion on the Pakistan stream gas pipeline project. Like, we know that we have a shortage of gas at home, but what are Russia's interests in development of this pipeline project?
See, there is a long problem. Try to understand, we have to have the good connection with Central Asian state. We have to have the good relation with Uzbekistan. Once the gas pipeline LNG comes from the Uzbekistan, and then it comes to the Afghanistan, and via Afghanistan it comes to Pakistan, and second stage is it comes from Iran, and from Iran to Pakistan. So these are the complicated LNG problems, so we need to understand. One, so this was a problematic and more cruel or entangled issue that we are not yet so far been try to understand. Issues, but confederation, yes, initially there was a time it needs a confederation between the Iran, China and Pakistan, Iran, Pakistan and Afghanistan, but Afghanistan was not the part of this, and they just asked not to be the part of Pakistan. So it was the huge problem. We cannot get the LNG in a first stage, so only part we can get from the Iran. So if we get from the Iran, that is a wonderful issue. So this time around, our government is working on these issues. So ECO should be updated, ECO should be under the plan, ECO should be under the policy. Where I just wanted to add up one more new things to about the Belt and Road Initiative. 149 countries mean the new cooperation, collaboration, and they are working on the policy coordination, they are working on the infrastructure connectivity, they are working on unimpeded trade and financial integration and understanding between the people. So this is rightly very much important. If there is no memorandum of understanding, if there is no joint venture exercise, then plus the real issues are administrative issues in Pakistan. The Karachi baseline point is under the deficit. So we are wasting much amount in our that particular area where the LNG comes from, the Karachi. So administrative issues are there. So the main issue is the political uncertainties. So one government goes and one government comes.
We know that there are a lot of issues, but let's talk
when the
about
project stops, always understand that the project has certain start and certain end. It has to certain start and certain end. It should be, for example, the project is started from in a 1 year or a year and a half. It should be closed. If then not, that the whole cost of the price will increase, and we cannot suffice or confide the price and the cost.
Of course, we need consistency of policies, consistency of governments. Mr. Humayun, I would like to ask you that what do you see the future of relationship between these three countries, Pakistan, Russia and China, and how can we further strengthen the relation or emerging cooperation between these three countries?
Well, certainly there is a lot of potential in future between these three countries collaboration and between two countries bilateral collaboration as well. When it comes to three countries collaboration, I guess Afghanistan is one of the most important issues where they have unanimity of views. They want the establishment of a just government there which is acceptable to all the countries. They want terrorism to be eliminated from their soil. Apart from that, now there is a Shanghai Cooperation Organization in which Pakistan is also a member, China is a member, Russia is these are the founding countries. There's a lot of mechanism, collaboration, cooperation which can exist between SCO's platform. Other than that, oil and gas is one of the biggest factor in which China, Russia and Pakistan can collaborate in future depending upon all the issues Dr. Hasnan was mentioning. We need to upgrade our capacity of refineries, we need to upgrade a lot of our infrastructure, obviously with the help of Russian.
I'll take your 2 cents on it, and then I would like to move towards, we have some interesting tweets that we would like to share with our viewers.
For sure. I just wanted to tell you about the very important things. One is the high yield speed. This is very much important, and people must know to understand, and our think tank must have to work on pest control, hybrid cultivation, corporate farming, innovation and integration technique, machinery training, agri research and development protocols, and Pak agri export to the China, digital farming and agri laboratory. So Russia wanted to have that, and we are working for the wheat and of course oil. So we have to expedite our trading with the Russia and Afghanistan, China. So we already have done much work on our infrastructure. If you visited the Gwadar, you have seen the $63 billion has been spent. The China has, taking the chance to go to the Chabahar where they invested $400 billion, but it was not the success, believe in me, and they come back again to the Gwadar, because the Gwadar is the most important, best resource ever on the earth, the most concise logistic part, and we have the 10 to 20 the shipping berths, which is the most confined transportation system.
Right. Ever. So, Dr. Hasnan, we have some interesting tweets that I would want your opinion on. So, the first tweet is that President Putin and President of China, Xi Jinping, launched construction of 4 new power units of 2 nuclear power plants in China. So,
yes, that's wonderful. This is between the China and Russia, and we should be the part of this. We are far away from that. We have to be the part of it. Our defense ministry must have to be the part of it, and we must expedite this matter into this, because Russia is best in ammunition and we have to be the part of it.
So the next tweet is very interesting about China-Russia report, and there is a graph that we will be sharing with our viewers. China reportedly planning to boost economic ties with Russia. So
yes.
What is the potential?
Again, I just wanted to tell that Russia would invest around 10 billion in offshore gas pipeline project, 2.5 billion in the north-south pipeline project, and remaining is 1.5 billion on the building on-ground storage facility. So there are many things they wanted to have the collaboration.
So next tweet is by Shu Fang, and
Yeah.
he says that world politics has once again reached a worrying moment of possible camp confrontation induced by the major country stalemate. And I would like Mr. Humayun to comment on this.
Absolutely, as we were earlier mentioning that we are again coming back to bloc politics, where United States of America has a bigger bloc sided with the Europeans, and on the other side we are seeing emerging bloc of Russia, China and like-minded countries. One has to be very careful which bloc one needs to be in. As a developing country, as Foreign Minister Bilal was saying, it's very difficult to navigate considering your own problems. So yes, I hope that the cooperation mechanism flourishes more and this confrontation flourishes less. The reason why we have just seen pandemic, we have just seen these floods all around the world and particularly in Pakistan. And if there is no cooperation between countries, you cannot move forward, and confrontation is something which is it is not at the interest of anybody if we start confronting each other as we have done in the Cold War times.
So next tweet is by Mr. Wu Shangong, and it says that although some European countries and politicians advocate decoupling from China, the strong economic symbiosis between China and Europe cannot be swayed arbitrarily.
Remember, the Zulfikar Ali Bhutto was the person who created the relationship between the Chu and Lai, and same as this time and time, we have to be the arbitrator between the US and the China, so that the 65% of the import and export between the China and America could again be the part of it. We don't want to have because economy is about the peace, and peace is about everything. If you could give me just 1 minute, and thorough of this tweet, I just wanted to share one Sanskrit which is translated in English, which says the economy is peace, and wherever the economy, the regional connectivity means peace, and peace is everything. So it says, when there is a righteousness in the heart, there is a beauty in the character. When there is a beauty in the character, there is a harmony in the home. When there is a harmony in the home, there is an order in the nation. And when there is an order in the nation, there is a peace in the world.
So, Dr. Hassan, we know that Russia is balancing its South Asian strategy by engaging with Pakistan as well as India.
Yeah.
So, what would be its impact on the region at large and on global
Don't you see that the Indian
politics?
economy is better than the United Kingdom? Haven't you seen? Just try to understand the what you can call it. This is a deformation or something different. But see, they have the problem with the America, they have the problem with the Ukraine. But Russia is giving oil to the India, and India is exporting oil to America. And so 5,300 billion a barrel of the oil is going from India. So in papers, their economy is on the boom, and their economy is drastically moving on to the higher side. So this is this is the diplomacy. This is what we call the diplomacy. Why not we? We can have developed the diplomacy, but first of all, we have to get the license. We have to get the import and export license between the Russia. We have to have the commodity licensing, because our import and export licensing is not been done in the pulses, in the rice. They need our rice. We cannot eat the Chinese rice or maybe the Russian rice, but our demand is for the commodity is much higher than this. So we have to create the diplomacy.
Right.
And the next move on the economic front, we have to export. There would be no rivalry between any country and Pakistan, has the national security policy, not just the war zone or the defending zone, offensive offense or defensive defense. We have to be very peaceful with every country, and we have to develop the trade agreement. As you know that
Right,
we
we are
have the
talking
best
about-
exports
right.
exports in America, more than 11 billion. So we have to enhance our trade to China. We are not exporting better in
Right.
China, and
There is
we are not exporting better in the Russia. So we have to work on it.
Right. We have a lot of potential of trade and other areas of cooperation between Pakistan and Russia and China. So how do you see that Pakistan and Russia can cooperate if we talk about Afghanistan, keeping Afghanistan in the picture?
I think that's very
What
important.
are prospects of that?
There's huge potential in terms of growing understanding between these three countries and these two countries, how the future of Afghanistan should be. And then again, Dr. Hasnan earlier was mentioning about the TAPI gas pipeline, IPI gas pipeline, and then you were mentioning about the north and south gas pipeline, which the Russian companies are supposed to build. If these things are, if there's peace in Afghanistan, if there's unanimity of views of these regional countries of Afghanistan, these economic projects can grow and quickly can be completed. And once completed, the benefit is huge for Pakistan and benefit is huge for South Asian connectivity. So that's one of the issues. The low-hanging fruit between Russia and Pakistan is there's cooperation in oil and gas sector.
Yes.
Russia has huge potential. Russia can help Pakistan expanding our refinery
As
capability.
Afghanistan and Pakistan is full of uranium.
And then there's a lot of trade potential as well. Agriculture cooperation could be one of the things where Pakistan can export its agriculture products, and Pakistan can also import wheat from Russia. As of now, we're suffering from floods. We need a lot of resources from outside. And if we can get discounted gas and oil, it will help our GDP to sustain in the next fiscal year.
Right. So, Dr. Hasnan, Pakistan, Russia and China coordination broadened basically in 2016 when they sat together to discuss Afghanistan and how to stabilize Afghanistan. How do you see the future of these three countries in stabilizing Afghanistan, and what would be the prospects for the region at large?
First of all, we need to understand the history. So historically, if we discourse to the history, there is creating a long-term fuss in that way. So they wanted to have the FATA and the Balochistan area. So their expansionism or expansionist idea must be a counter in a way with the government to government, G to G. So then we can work on the basis of economy, and economy is most important. Afghanistan must have to understand, because it is the central part. If there is a gas pipeline or if it is the other system, they must have to think better in the way to the peace. So peace is very much important. If there is no peace, we cannot trade to Uzbekistan, we cannot trade to Azerbaijan and other Central Asian state. And Afghanistan must need to understand, because we are the only way from the Gwadar and to the Bin Qasim port. So these are the just one area, and China is working in the Afghanistan. If there is no peace, there is no production. So they have to understand, and we need a more program on Afghanistan specifically.
Right, we will be talking about Afghanistan and region at large. Thank you very much, Dr. Hasnan Javed, for joining us in today's show and for your insightful opinion. Thank you, Mr. Humayun Khan, for joining us in today's show. In today's show, we discussed the dynamics of relationship between Pakistan and Russia. As global powers are watching every move of Pakistan, whether it is purchase of gas or the establishment of Pakistan Stream gas pipeline. In this regard, Pakistan needs a foreign policy that is well crafted and that can impact the national and economic interests of Pakistan. That is all from Game Changer today. Take care. Allah Hafiz.